The In Conversation podcast series, with author Nigel Beckles.
Welcome to the podcast.
Please like the podcast and subscribe to this channel. Thank you. The very best way to promote your podcasts. Podpage makes it easy to create a podcast website with just a few clicks. Every page is optimized to be found on Google and it stays up to date forever. For more information, visit podpage.com. The future of podcast promotion.
Have you experienced several failed relationships or been through a divorce? How can you avoid making the same mistakes again? How to avoid making the big relationship mistakes is out now.
Hi, my name is Nigel Beckles. My new book is packed with practical and common sense strategies that you can use to make better relationship choices.
Now you can discover the dangerous myths about love. If your relationship expectations are realistic, why you could be falling in love for all the wrong reasons.
How to avoid making the big relationship mistakes. It's a book that could change your life.
Available from amazon.co.uk. Kindle version also available.
When the Mood is Right, a poetry journey and mood swings by Queen P. Available on Amazon and all good bookstores.
The Royal Affair
by Queen P.
Dim the lights, sit back, relax, and breathe. You have entered into the Royal Affair.
Queen P. Poetry podcasts. Available now.
The Royal Affair.
Get ready for takeoff.
Welcome back to my Interesting Conversations with Interesting People podcast series. My guest for this episode is the CEO of Third Eye Entertainment and also an author, American Different. Hi, Different. Welcome to my podcast series. How are you?
Hey, Nigel. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm very well, thank you. So where do you reside at the moment?
Well, I'm from Houston, Texas. It's where I live.
Did you grow up there or elsewhere?
Yeah, I grew up from Houston, but I'm an avid traveler. I've traveled all over the world just before the pandemic and even during the pandemic.
So I understand that you became homeless at 11 years old. How did you get out of that experience?
By God's grace, it was all due to him. At the age of 11, I ended up on the streets with my family, and for 3 years it stayed that way. But at the age of 14, I was secretly placed in foster care. And within that time, I had discovered that the state of Texas pays for foster kids who age out of care. They pay for their tuition to college. And so a light bulb went out in my head. And I decided to use my street smarts to elevate my book smarts and decided to stay in CPS for 4 years. And I aged out of care. And within that, I was able to go to college at Sam Houston State University and ended up getting multiple degrees.
So which qualifications did you obtain?
So as I stated, I went to Sam Houston State University. I became a member of the Phi Chi Theta Business Fraternity. I graduated with my BA in International Business. I have 2 minors in Business Communication and Economics, as well as I have my master's degree in entrepreneurship, and I'm also a Texas real estate agent.
Well, congratulations on those. You're also interested in therapy. So how did you become interested in that topic?
Through the midst of all my accomplishments and achievements in life, and with my tough upbringing, coming up from a traumatized childhood, it spilled over into my adulthood. And with all the accomplishments and achievements I had, I still had demons to battle. And I was blessed with so many opportunities and squandered them. And it was just due to the fact that, I wasn't used to having good things, chaos, it was normal to me. And so when good things were presented to me, for me, it was too good to be true. And so I squandered them. It spilled over into my adulthood and to the point to where I was messing up every opportunities I had to, become successful. And it was one opportunity that I squandered and made me just really just face the fact that, face the ugly truth about myself, that I needed to go and fix my inner issues. And so with that being said, I took myself to therapy and dismissed that notion that, Black people don't do therapy. We don't talk about our issues. And I started talking about my issues, with my therapist. And within doing so, he encouraged me to, channel that negative energy into a positive energy. And with that being said, a year later, we're being stuck in, the house during the pandemic. I written this book And so that's where, the mental health and therapy takes part in, my life and helping me out for the good. It saved my life, and it's a big part of my business and what Third Eye ENT is about.
Well, you've suffered with depression in the past. How long did that last for?
Oh, I mean, depression comes and goes. You can't measure, how long you're depressed or why you're depressed or when you're depressed. I mean, I'm depressed right now, if you will, if I'm being honest. I just suffered another loss. He wasn't family, but he was like family. I must say, rest in peace to my coach, Saul Solis, passed away a couple of days ago due to COVID. This is the fourth person alone that I've had to say goodbye to this year. And with that in itself, has caused so much depression to where it keeps me in therapy and, it's where I have to talk about those issues. And so anybody out there that's listening, that's, dealing with depression like me, I will say this, it's okay not to be okay, but just don't sit there and not be okay. Go get help. Don't feel ashamed about it. Coming up, I was brought up in a culture that, we were taught that mindset of what goes on in this house stays in this house. And so, coming up, I just wasn't able to express myself in how, I naturally felt, and that spilled over into my adulthood, and that affected me. And so it wasn't until, like I said, I just said, forget that. I'm going to go get help, man. I'm going to go fix my issues. I'm going to go to therapy and be proud of it. And so I'm a living witness. It helps, if you will. Whatever, it takes for you to fix your inner issues, do it. Whether if it be, praying or meditating, talking to a therapist, a family member, or friends, picking up some type of hobby, do it, because in the end, in the long run, you'll be grateful for it. I know I am. It saved my life.
Well, earlier you mentioned Black people not necessarily liking going to therapy. Why do you think some Black people are resistant to the idea of therapy?
I think it is because of the way that we were brought up. For me personally, pretty sure there's others out there that can relate. Just, what we were taught as, youngins, that mindset again, what goes on in this house stays in this house. If somebody in your family touched you inappropriately, even though you talked about it, you went and told somebody. But half the time, most of the time, it just got swept under the rug. People pretend like it didn't happen. And so those type of examples are things, when you learn in your childhood, grows into your adult. That's the issue, in my opinion. It's what we've been taught, what we've been conditioned to. We don't talk about those issues, or we made to feel, ashamed by it. And that's also a heavy issue, within Black men, the way they've been brought up, they can't show weakness. Men don't cry. And so a lot of that rage, that unchecked rage from their childhood spills over into their adulthood. And then you have the angry Black man. I think that's what it is. Is what we've been instilled as a child. And so what I have vowed to do before I have kids is that when I have kids, I'm going to be the one to allow my kids to express themselves. If they're not feeling happy or it's something that's going on with them, I'm going to hear them out and help them out in the best way that I can. Can't change about what happened in the past, but you can change, what happens in the future by working on the now. That's my opinion.
Well, you're the CEO of your own company.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you start your company? What's it called and what does it do?
Yes, my company is called Third Eye Entertainment, LLC, and it was actually started on accident. It started being stuck in a house after I wrote the book. I started in June 2020, and afterwards I finished around December 2020, and I was talking with my lawyer, and she was telling me how much she liked the book and, how well she thought it was going to do. And then she asked the question, what's the name of your business? And I'm like, what do you mean? I kept telling her my book, like the title of my book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift. And she was like, no, I don't think you understand. What's the name of your business? I told her I didn't understand. I don't have a business, basically told her. And she was like, well, in order to sell a product to the public, you have to have a business. Therefore, if they come after you, they can't sue you for your personal gains, only for your business wise. And so from December to March of this year, I had to learn and gain all types of knowledge about, the Texas rules and regulations of operating a business here, and also being spiritually in tuned and praying and meditating and talking with God and asking him, going to do this and form this business. What is this business going to be about? And that's where Third Eye came from, being spiritually in tune with my third eye. And you asked the question what my business is about. Third Eye Entertainment is a company that strives to bring social awareness to society through our products and services that educates, inspires, and entertains at once. We offer written and video material touching on issues that are considered taboo in today's society, such as injustice, systemic racism, LGBTQ issues, women's rights, voters' rights, child advocacy. We talk about sex trafficking, mental health, suicide prevention. And with that being said, the first project that we have is my new book coming out, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift.
Well, you mentioned your book. When was it published?
So it's actually coming out this month, and it's going on pre-sale.
So why did you choose those particular topics for your book?
What inspired me to write this book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift? Well, first off, when the death of George Floyd occurred, being from the same place he's from, I actually, during a part of my childhood, spent some time in Third Ward, the place that he's from. So but when he passed on, I wanted to get involved in marching, the protests, and have my voice heard. I even wanted my nephew, who's 9 years old, to be involved. However, when it came down to it, I couldn't, because I felt that I wanted my voice to be heard longer than just in that moment of time. I wanted it to be heard long after I'm gone. And so, like I said, being in tune with my third eye and just being alone with God and talking with him and praying and meditating, I asked him, what is it that I can do to, help leave my mark in this world and have my voice being heard, as well as, a long time ago, I prayed and asked God to allow me to be the one in my family to break the generational curse and create generational wealth. And so this is also tying into that as well. So that's how I was inspired to write the book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift. Another reason what encouraged me to write this book is the fact that I'm sick and tired of hearing people, or racist people, if you will, state that, racism isn't alive, or if it doesn't exist, or they don't see color. If you don't see that, then how about this? It does come with the disclaimer. It's intended for a mature audience only. It does contain sensitive content. The book is written to inform and encourage thought-provoking conversations about injustice and systemic racism in America. It's done through graphic and provocative illustrations detailing controversial deaths and events have occurred in America within the African American community. The way that I have presented this book, it's within 4 main categorized paradigms: historical, political, precedent, and hypothetical. And within those paradigms, there are sub-paradigms. It ties into, precedent and hypothetical paradigm.
The issues you explore in your book are very important. How do you think things can be improved for the future, especially regarding police practices in America?
So, well, first of all, the way that I think things can be improved for the future is to have conversations about these issues that we have, take acknowledge and accountability for them. I have a paradigm that addresses that what if concept. If police reform was underway and they had to attend mandatory workshops about racial profiling and how to de-escalate a situation so that we can prevent ways, or minimize the deaths of unarmed victims. And so that's one way I think that we can improve the futures, by just taking that small itty-bitty step and having the conversations.
So what other interests do you have?
Oh, a lot. I love to travel. Other than that, reading, writing. I love watching Shark Tank. Before the pandemic, I did MMA cage fighting. I love spending time with my nephew. I love biking, ATVing, anything Daredevil type. I'm all for it.
So Different, how can people contact you?
Yeah, so if anybody's trying to get in contact with me, my main website is differentsworld.net, spelled DIFERNTSWORLD.net. There you can find all of our other social media handles, our Facebook, YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram, as well as, find out about our pre-sale and the book launch and other merchandise that we offer.
Different in Houston, USA. Thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
What if a controversial paradigm shift is a book written to inform and encourage consistent, thought-provoking conversations about injustice and systematic racism in America through graphic but provocative illustration. What If provides a different perspective by detailing controversial deaths and events as 4 categorized paradigm shifts: historical, political, precedent, and hypothetical. What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift by author Different. Illustrations by Anastasia Arnold. Coming August 2021. Go to differentsworld.net. And it will also be available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com.
Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Another In Conversation podcast coming soon.